Hey, what's up, everybody? April 12th. Hey, I got vax. Check it out. There you go. That's it. I'm all vaxxed up. Ready to go, baby. You know how I always say, like, they're printing money. I got a new one now that we could add to that. Not in my lifetime. As in, this is the worst inflation that I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, there's so much negativity out there, folks. There's so much negativity. I mean, why? Why be so negative? I used to be that way. Negative all the time. Criticizing everything. Everything's no good. There's so much bleeping negativity. I haven't seen so much negativity in my lifetime. Inflation is so bad. Inflation is the worst I've seen in my lifetime. The inflation hysteria is spiraling out of control, folks. You had Powell on 60 Minutes the other day saying, we print the money. Remember when Bernanke did that, like back in the 2008-2009 financial crash, Bernanke was on TV on 60 Minutes being interviewed by Scott Pelley, the same guy who just interviewed Powell. But Bernanke had a better way to say it. Because when Pelley asked the question, where does it come from? Like, you know, Bernanke already schooled him back in 2008 or whenever that interview was. You could look it up on Google. But Bernanke said, you know, we just go to our computer and hit a button and the banks or accounts get credited. I mean, that's the way. But Powell said, we print it. And then he threw in digitally because he probably thought, oh my God, if I say we print it, everyone's going to freak out. Not in my lifetime. We're printing money. Folks, here's a story I want to bring to your attention, and maybe some of you have already heard about this. All right? And that is the Chinese have introduced a digital yuan. This is the first digital currency of a major nation, of any nation really. The United States doesn't have one. There's none in Europe. And what is interesting about this, I think, is really what was the Chinese intent on this? For me, the Chinese intent was to undercut dollar hegemony. By that I mean, you know, and I've talked about this so many times, that the dollar is the basis of the global financial system. Like, you know, that's how the global financial system functions. It's a dollar-based financial system, and the United States, because of that, you know, privilege, that power that it has incredible power. I mean, you know, it could levy sanctions on countries, on corporations, on you know, any entity, and it could functionally lock that entity out of the dollar-based global financial system. And China has been on the receiving end of some of these sanctions, along with other countries that the U.S. deems as adversaries or just wants to punish in some way. You know, Iran, Venezuela, Russia. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Even some European allies, you know, have been sanctioned. So I think the intent here, and it's fascinating, I mean, this is really a big geostrategic strategy here to circumvent the dollar-based global financial system and to also come out as the leader of a national digital currency that can now, if you read about this, and you can check it out online, I mean, it's fascinating because it's going to allow transactions without intermediaries, without banks, without fees, instantaneous, okay? Basically by just entering a telephone number or tapping two phones together as if an actual exchange of cash, but it's digital, right? It's already being tested in a fairly large scale test in China, and they expect it to be rolled out fully operational by the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. But this has big implications. Now, I've been talking for a long time about de-dollarization, how because of U.S. sanctions and because of official U.S. policy to attack, weaponize the dollar and use that as a weapon against adversaries or countries that the U.S. deems, they're bad actors or whatever, it's obvious that the world has no other choice. They're going to find a way around this. Okay? Now, this doesn't happen, overnight. It doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a year. It takes time for this to happen. So in between, you can have these squiggles in the dollar. You can have, these counter trend rallies in the dollar like we saw from 2018 to 2020. But I keep saying that this is happening. I mean, there's no question about it that this is happening. And it's not just simply a one country project to try to go around this. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Chinese currency circumvents the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is that, encrypted, coded system that ensures secured, cross-border international transactions. And the United States also has a lot of leverage over that SWIFT system, like who gets to use it. There's been talk in the past, threats, for example, like to lock Russia out of that SWIFT system. I mean, it's very obvious to the rest of the world that an alternative financial system, an alternative payment system has to be developed, because the United States is too heavy-handed now in its management of the global dollar-based financial system. It's a matter of economic survival for nations. It's a matter of economic survival for large entities, large businesses. I mean, it's just going to happen. And it is happening right now. And China has the lead on this. So, also, I think that the second intention here, outside of this geostrategic, intent on the part of China to undermine or undercut U.S. dollar hegemony, is also to lift the Chinese currency into a greater international role. I mean, it's been kind of China's been kind of loath to do that for a long time because it's based its economy for so long on exports. But now, as China's economy matures and it continues to grow, and there's more emphasis on domestic investment, raising living standards, incomes, that sort of thing. They have the fastest growing middle class in the world. I mean, now the intent, I think, is real, that they want to lift the yuan, the RMB, to a greater international role. And maybe, it's their goal at some point down the road to have their currency as the global reserve currency. We'll see. I can't speculate on that. I don't know. All I know is that this is a big development. It's completely aligned with things I've been saying in the past in terms of de-dollarization, which to me is just pure logic, that the world has to, and I've spoken about this in the context of Bitcoin. People have asked me about Bitcoin. What do I think? I said Bitcoin is an outgrowth of the need for an alternative payment system. Now, Bitcoin now is the thing, and I'm not calling an end to Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go away. But I do think that ultimately something else will come along. I mean, we've seen it happen in every other kind of technology. I mean, you think about it. Remember when we used to, BlackBerry used to be the thing. Then Apple came along with its iPhone, and, that killed BlackBerry. Yahoo used to be the #1 search engine. Then Google came along, and that killed Yahoo. So, it's always like that. That's the evolution of things. Bitcoin was first. And if you're a Bitcoin investor, I'm not telling you to get out. I'm not, trying to scare you. But I mean, just pay attention to this. The Chinese digital currency, other countries, the United States now is working. I think Powell said, this is a major priority to develop a digital currency. So, it's going in that direction. The Chinese currency also has anonymity, although they say that the Chinese government will be able to investigate suspicious transactions. There you have it. Take it for what it's worth. In my lifetime, don't forget, this is the worst inflation that I've seen in my lifetime. Gasoline's at $2.80 a gallon. That's a terrible inflation. Worst inflation that I've seen in my lifetime. All right, everybody. Oh, today's Monday. The new edition of MMT Trader went out. Go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial. Do it now. See everybody tomorrow. Bye.